Before this story begins, I want you to listen carefully. This isn't fiction, and it isn't dramatized. It's a real experience, told quietly and honestly. Stay with the story until the end. 2020 was a strange year. The streets were quiet, stores were closed, and people stayed inside their homes for weeks at a time. Life slowly moved behind locked doors, and screens replaced faces. Phones weren't just devices anymore. They became company. Video calls became normal, necessary, comforting. That's when it started. He was an ordinary man, no criminal record, no strange behavior. He worked as a delivery worker, moving from one house to another every day, dropping off packages, saying polite hellos, then leaving. Most people barely noticed him. He blended in easily. But while delivering packages, he was also watching. He noticed who lived alone, who talked a little longer at the door, who smiled easily, who trusted without hesitation. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt forced. It always started small, a casual conversation, a polite follow-up message, a phone number exchanged for delivery updates. Everything felt normal. Soon the conversations changed. Messages became personal. Questions appeared about how lockdown felt, about loneliness, about missing real human contact. His tone was calm, patient, understanding. He listened more than he spoke. People felt heard. Phone calls replaced messages. Then one day, he suggested a video call. In 2020, video calls didn't feel dangerous. Everyone was doing it. Families, friends, co-workers. Faces lived inside screens. Seeing someone's face felt safe. So they agreed. The video calls became frequent, sometimes filled with conversation, sometimes quiet. Just two people sitting on opposite sides of a screen, existing in the same moment. It felt private. It felt real. What they didn't know was that those moments were being recorded, quietly, carefully, without permission. Days passed. Everything seemed normal. Until it wasn't. One morning, a message arrived. "I have your video." At first, it didn't feel real. It felt like a misunderstanding, maybe a mistake. Then another message followed. "If you don't do what I say, everyone will see it." In that moment, everything collapsed at once. Thoughts of family, reputation, shame, consequences, all collided. Phones stopped feeling safe. Every notification brought fear. Sleep became difficult. Silence became easier than explaining. Most people stayed quiet, and silence worked in his favor. He repeated the same process again and again, the same approach, the same words, the same threats. Over time, the number grew. Not one person, not two. 66 women. Different lives, different stories, the same fear. Weeks turned into months. Messages arrived late at night. Demands followed. Control tightened. Behind the screen, he remained calm, detached, patient. For many, the worst part wasn't just the fear. It was the betrayal. Realizing that someone they trusted had been watching, collecting moments meant to be private. Eventually, one person decided to speak. It wasn't easy. The words didn't come easily. Fear didn't disappear, but staying silent felt worse. An investigation began. Phones were examined, files recovered, videos uncovered. The pattern became impossible to ignore. The ordinary delivery worker was no longer ordinary. There was no dramatic ending, no loud confrontation, just statements, evidence, and the slow understanding of how much damage had already been done. 2020 eventually moved on. The world reopened, streets filled again. But for some people, that year never really ended.